Hey everybody, today we're going to do a quick video about what is a poor man's will and what you should do to avoid ever falling into these mistakes. Full disclosure, I'm not a licensed real estate attorney or CPA, but what we're going to talk about today is for general information regarding how it affects a real estate transaction. But before we do that, please like, subscribe, comment below with any questions. I am here to help anybody in Oregon with a probate real estate transaction, or refer you to somebody who can help you in the entire estate planning probate process. So let's dig into it. What is a poor man's will? Well, by definition, it literally is you've added somebody to the title or the deed of the property because you think when you die, this person's going to inherit it and there's not going to be issues. Instead of setting up a trust or setting up a proper will with a licensed attorney, you thought that making this shortcut would essentially avoid the probate process and everything would just transfer and things would be happy-go-lucky. Well, 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. It still needs to go through probate because it's over a certain amount of value in the state of Oregon, and it could literally put you into a situation where you're paying off tons of people's liens and debts and or subjecting yourself to capital gains that you shouldn't even or wouldn't have even paid. And so I want to tell everybody that making sure if you do perform this, who that person is, son or daughter, family member, does not have back child support, doesn't owe somebody a bunch of money or have a court case or a settlement against them. Somebody who is actually free and clear when it comes to obligations to somebody else, because when you go to sell that property, that person who's attached to that property is going to now have to pay off these liens, and you weren't anticipating that. Next, in terms of capital gains, what happens if the proper inheritance process would have gone through and that value of that property would have been subject to transferring to the next people in that trust at a value that made sense, not the property price that you originally bought it at, and now you've put somebody on deed or title of that property that now is going to owe tons of capital gains because now you're dead. Now, I'm not a certified public accountant, but I can tell you the cost basis in all of this situation does happen. Next, understanding that saving $1,000 to not get a trust or a will set up properly is a way to essentially put yourself in a situation of tons of liability. And that liability is what's going to lead to issues that you're going to have to address during the probate process. And cleaning up, removing somebody from title and having to have court approval to do so is going to cost you way more than the $1,000 you tried to save. Also, transferring title or trying to put somebody on title that is an entity that doesn't exist or an entity that essentially did exist but never updated the registration is also going to have to be figured out during this probate process. So why I'm telling you this as a real estate broker is because when I run a preliminary title report and I say, who is this person? And they say, it's my son or daughter. And then I say, do they live with you? And they say, no, I thought that they would just transfer the property when I die. That essentially is going to lead to delays. It's going to lead you to issues of spending more money to fix the problem. And you could have just asked somebody for the proper way of transferring the property when you die, right? Estate planning is key to making sure that probate goes smoothly. When you try to cut corners, when you try to save money, when you try to essentially make the process easier in your mind, is not always the case, especially on the real estate agent side. Now, with all this being said, if you need a referral to an estate planning attorney anywhere in Oregon, please reach out to me. If you need a referral to a CPA or somebody that can look at your cost basis and look at capital gains. I was just on a phone call today with an investor who said, hey, if I just transfer the property to my kids in the trust, they'll never have to pay the capital gains, right? Not the case. So making sure that you have sound real estate advice, sound legal advice, sound accounting advice is going to make sure that your probate situation is going to be avoided. Now, if you have good trust planning, you may not even need to go through a full-blown probate. And that's also going to be an advantage. But do not do the poor man's will. It is a bad solution, and 9 times out of 10 is going to lead to these problems that we discussed. As always, please click the link below and schedule a consultation with me, pre-probate or post-probate. Let me get a chance to look at your real estate, give you a free valuation, and make sure that you're making all the steps to making good, sound real estate decisions.